Kia ora folks, RDB, your local Bushman here. What I'd like to talk about today is fat adaptation, okay? This stuff right here. Kia ora folks, RDB, your local Bushman here. First, I would like to bring a special guest in today. Today's special guest is Mr. Hood. Take it away, Mr. Hood.
And one of the things that I noticed is that after a couple of days, the guys that had muscles on their muscles, bumps on their bumps, macho monkeys, these guys would get out there and they were the first ones to start falling apart.
Okay, so welcome back, folks. As you probably listened to a bit to Mr. Ron Hood, the late Ron Hood, this is about fat adaptation. Now, back in the early 90s and 80s, they were calling a lot of the skills we practice now as bushmen, bush ladies, as bushcrafters. They were calling that wilderness survival or survival living skills. Nowadays we modernize and call it bushcraft, okay? What I want to talk to you kind folks today about is how do we as bushcrafters utilize fat when we're out in the bush, okay? So let's take another snippet into Mr. Ron Hood, see what he's talking about. And for the you folks who do not know Ron Hood, okay, the late Ron Hood, who passed away a few years ago, very sad to hear. It was a great, we call him now Bushcrafters, but he was a great survival expert or survival instructor. He lived and breathed this stuff. That's the kind of passion and people I not worship but admire. I pay huge respects to those types of people. Because they don't talk about it, they live it, they breathe it, they are it. And to me that's important. With bushcraft, folks, bushcraft, you have to be involved with it constantly. To me personally, as you folks know, I do a lot of different activities. I do trail running and things like that, and they plant ID and all that. To me, in the bigger perspective, that is all part of bushcraft. I have another video coming out sometime in the next few weeks talking about that, but let's take away for the snippet from Mr. Late Ron Hood.
My God, look at this guy. He could lift, well, hell, he could lift these big old boulders, but you know what? He couldn't lift his leg after a couple of days. And the reason was he didn't have the body reserves. Lots of power for the short term, but no power, no stamina, and no ability to continue on if they didn't continue to have food coming into their system. Well, the food that's already in your system is the body battery, and I refer to that as survival muscle. Let me tell you a little bit more about it. Let me show you what survival muscle looks like. This is survival muscle.
Okay, folks, so what Mr. Ron Hood is talking about is utilizing fat when you don't have food available. How can we as bushcrafters utilize that fat? I believe we utilize that anyway. Okay, let's say normal bushcraft situation to an extent. We're out in the bush, okay? Middle of nowhere. And that's a good thing for us bushcrafters. Middle of nowhere in the bush. Perfect, okay? Pitching up a camp. Might be building a natural shelter or pitching up a tarp. Sweet as, okay? Cool. Now, let's take the situation. We want to practice a few skills, okay? Sweet as. Grab some cordage or whatever. Lay some traps, some snares out. We're waiting for some game. Squirrels, possums, rats, birds, you name it. Anything that moves, basically, you can eat. Okay? Cool. Now, with trapping, as those folks who do not know, and especially primitive trapping, there's not always a guaranteed success rate. You might not have the available resources in your wilderness area that you practice bushcraft to either fish or go birding to try to trap birds. You might not have the option, okay? Utilizing fat adaptation, what that means is you're basically living, fueling your body, and all the activities you're going to be doing, you know, you're going to be tramping in. Some of my foreign viewers would be calling that hiking in or trekking in. You'll be tramping in the bush. You know, you'll be looking for resources all the time. You're burning energy all the time, okay? It could be building shelters, it could be gathering firewood.
This is Mr. Hood. Take it away, Mr. Hood.
As the days wore on and I ate less and less, the battery, the survival muscle started to disappear. Some people call it a diet. I call it good living. And it's important. If you're going out on a survival situation, You carry around a few thousand calories. I say, what do you mean a few thousand calories? Well, I'll tell you what a few thousand calories is. That's right. You see, every pound of human fat reconverted to energy gives you somewhere between 3,600 and 4,000 calories of power.
Utilizing the fat reserves you have, or what he calls it, Mr. Ron Hood, is your survival muscle. Now, as I showed you folks before, I've got bugger all. There's not much. It's a little bit loose. It's really not much. What I've trained my body over the few years to do is when I'm out in the bush, okay, predominantly for bushcraft activities, I can run, for those folks who don't know. I'm a trail runner as well, so I can run off fat for about 3 to 4 hours. When I'm in doing bushcraft, I can survive off fat purely for 2 to 3 days before I get really leery and lethargic, okay? But building up and having stores of fat is important. Why is it important? The situations I gave you. Perfect, okay? Another situation, you might not have enough food. You need, for bushcrafters particularly, we like suffering and having fun. It's kind of a weird mix, but we like suffering and having fun. You know, living what people call as crazy, minimalist stuff, okay? Okay. So living off fat can actually help your body fuel it while you're gaining calories. How could that calories be gained? You could be waiting for, let's say you got a food cache. It's 2 days walk away, okay? That could be a perfect example. By training your body to adapt to fat as a bushcrafter, you think less about food, okay? Now, for those folks who don't know, I thru-hiked the Te Aroha Trail, okay? So I know a lot about using fat for that purpose as well. It's the same principle in bushcraft. And basically this video is not a how-to, it's more of a giving my philosophical reasonings behind and logic behind the fat adaptation and how people have utilized it for bushcraft. I believe bushcrafters, we can learn a lot from this technique. Does that mean dieting? No. What that means is basically fat adaptation is training your body, and there's several different ways, okay? Training your body to run off fat, to fuel off fat reserves, okay? In the perfect scenario, I do realize that we have a lot of bush ladies, a lot of female bushcrafters these days, and a lot of them are quite self-aware, you can say, of their image. They don't want to be too... but females are different, okay? I do understand that. So for females, some females might want to train their body to run off fat for bushcraft. Now, fat adaptation is predominantly a athlete thing, okay? A lot of athletes, different types of athletes, you know, triathlon athletes, multi-sport athletes, trail running athletes, they will run off fat adaptation. It's a perfectly natural way to fuel your body, and you've got reserves there that can be utilized, okay? Now, the cons. The cons with fat adaptation is the breaking in process.
This is called a catabolic metabolism, and it takes time to get started. Fasting is a survival skill. If you fast for 24 hours, it teaches your body how to start to convert survival muscle into power.
I cannot give you an accurate time period of how long it takes your body to adapt. Everybody's different, okay, folks? But one of the, you can say, situations and outcomes from fat adaptation.
Once you start to use that battery, you're going to start to produce some chemicals called ketones. Now, ketones stink. If you're with another person in a survival situation, you're going to say, by God, you smell, you ought to take a bath. Well, they're thinking the same thing about you, because ketones are part of the natural process of converting your body fat into energy.
Now, what are ketones? Ketones are the stink smell produced from your sweat. Now, when you smell yourself, normally you know your own body odor when you sweat, okay? Ketones, you can really smell it. For some people, it varies differently. For me, I know how I'm burning fat efficiently when I'm running or I'm doing bushcraft or whatever in the wilderness, okay? I can smell it because to me, it's a real pungent smell. It's really not twangy, not like a twang smell, like a tangy, twangy smell. It's really sharp. It's a really pungent smell. That's how I know I'm burning ketones. The ketones are producing that chemicals and I'm burning fat. That way I know I'm burning fat. Okay? So, fat adaptation for bushcraft. Is it a thing? I believe, to sum this all up, bushcrafters, we have been using fat adaptation for a while. And these lessons from these old timers of what they had to say is very important for the modern bushcrafter. Some of the trail running stuff I incorporate from my own tramping for bushcraft to move a bit faster through the bush. That's a different story in itself. But yes, fat adaptation, folks. It's quite a journey. It's a thing to think about, particularly for a bushcrafter. If you are a bigger bushcrafter, and there are a lot of bushcrafters who are actually way bigger than me, that run off fat. Training your body to run off fat can keep you performing at your optimal level, can keep you going, can keep you walking, can keep you doing the things that you love in the bush. Now, to sum up, how do we train our bodies to fat adapt? There are various ways. One way is intermittent fasting. Now, if you folks want to know about intermittent fasting, I'm going to leave some links in the description box below. Basically, intermittent fasting is like regular fasting, but it's broken down to time periods. I'm not going to give you guys a time period. I'm going to give you a hypothetical time period of what I do personally. I don't eat, just drink water for 16 hours, not every day, but most days. And then I eat from about 4 to midnight, okay? I'm a night owl, I'm a student, film student, so I'm always up all the time doing stuff or video editing on my documentary, okay? Project Distant Shores. But you want to get to that point where you're burning calories, you're burning fat to fuel yourself, okay?
You need to fast just to learn how to convert this stuff into something that keeps you busy on the trail and nice and warm at night.
Well, thank you folks for watching. Ka kite on all blessed trails, and I hope to see you folks very soon with another bushcraft oriented video. See you soon.